we're going to talk about three-act structure. Now, I'm sure you've heard of this before, but ultimately it is true. Everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? Way back in the day, Aristotle presented this structure as the basis for any kind of writing, any kind of storytelling. So it really helps to follow that structure. Now, what it means really is that the beginning, middle, and end have different moods to each of these portions of your story. So the beginning is about creating pity. It's about creating a sense of feeling for a character that wants to achieve a lot but isn't really getting there. After that, the middle is about generating fear. So it's about the character going out and facing all sorts of obstacles, potentially dangers, anything you want that creates a sense of, oh my God, is he going to make it? Is she going to make it? What's going to happen? And ultimately that leads to the end, and the end is about catharsis. What that means is it's finally where everything is resolved and where you feel a lot better, basically. So it doesn't mean a happy ending necessarily, but it means that the ride is over and we've been through what we need to go through, and now we understand that it's a time to let go. Now, when you're telling a story in a three-act structure, or otherwise, to be honest, but over the three-act structure, what you really want is for your hero or your main character, your protagonist, to demonstrate three things, all right? So the first part, usually the beginning, is about showing that the hero wants to win. They want something, they're really eager, they're very motivated, right? That's what you establish at the beginning. In the middle, what you want to do is show that the hero is able to win. So you show that your protagonist, woman, man, or otherwise, is able, has the skills, or is acquiring the skills to achieve what they want to achieve. But that's not quite enough, because you might have a hero who wants to win, someone who is able to win, but if you don't have the third part, which you develop kind of at the end, this is the catharsis part we mentioned, this is the point where it all comes together. The hero must deserve to win, because you can't root for someone and you can't be fulfilled by someone's success if they don't deserve it. All right, so you have to build that into your story. And by that, it doesn't have to be a 300-page story. It can be a 3-page story. It can be a 1-page story. You compress everything when it's shorter, but if you follow these steps, it really helps your reader to get involved, right? And to be in the story that way. So if your hero is wanting to win, able to win, and deserves to win, then winning is fulfillment for the reader and for the hero. Okay, so here's what you need for a story, right? You need to set up your story. You need to define what is the goal, right? Goal that the hero wants to achieve. It can be what they want to do. It can be where they want to go, who they want to become. It doesn't matter. The goal needs to be very clear, right? And in order for this to be interesting, the hero needs to have a greatest fear, something that really is in the way of their quest to get that goal. So it can be, someone who wants to parachute but is afraid of planes, right? Or someone who wants to climb a mountain but is afraid of heights, or has asthma or some kind of thing. Big greatest fear, right? That prevents them from reaching the goal. They should be in opposition. And then third, you need to define the obstacles or the villain or both that are also preventing the hero from achieving this, okay? So a cool villain or a very interesting obstacle is essential to your story. You got these three, you're ready to go. Now, to set up a hero or heroine, you need to define their abilities first, right? What they can and cannot do. And this can be very general, like knowing how to rollerblade, knowing how to swim, or things like that. Or it can be very specific. It could be like knowing how to work metal or to draw in a particular way. It can even be magical powers or something of the sort. Now, these abilities need also to go hand in hand with a hero's allegiances, right? What do they believe in? Who are they going to follow? What are they likely to believe? Because that is also going to inform the choices they make. And that's the third thing you need. You need choices for the hero to be very clear in terms of what they imply. Because what we will understand about the hero, we will interpret through the choices they make. If they choose to help someone over someone else, that's going to tell us something about them. If they choose to hurt someone instead of helping them, it's going to tell us a lot as well. Mostly, it's about the why. We are going to interpret why they make that choice, and that's how we're going to form an opinion of the hero. That's why it's important to have these things, okay? What every good story needs is a good conflict, right? If everything's fine, there's nothing much to tell because everything's cool. What you want is conflict, things that are in opposition. So a conflict is about people or things being opposed. You want either your hero facing a villain in opposition or your hero facing an obstacle that creates a conflict. It's always an opposition that needs to be resolved. Now, with every opposition comes a challenge, right? The challenge of how to overcome that opposition, how to go around it or over it. The challenge is something that you need to define as well, because sometimes we don't quite realize how big a challenge an opposition may be. Just talking to a girl that you fancy may not be much of a challenge in your mind, but for the character, maybe something really huge. And then scaling an enormous mountain might seem like a huge challenge, but in fact, to the character, it may not be that hard. So you need to define not just the opposition, but the challenge that is involved. Beyond that, you also need to define for the reader what is at stake. What are the stakes of this challenge? What will happen if it goes one way or another? Because when we understand that, we start to care about the outcome. And that's really the essential part. We don't necessarily have to be curious about what happens next. Most importantly, we need to care about what happens next, because that's what keeps us reading, okay? And with any kind of opposition like this and challenge, there are things at stakes, which means there are sacrifices to be made. There are choices to be made that will involve letting go of certain things. Whether or not we are prepared to make those sacrifices says a lot about who we are. That is why your hero making sacrifices, making choices, is going to define that hero's character, is going to let us decide, do we really like this person, or are we in two minds about it? And that's where it gets really, really interesting in a story. So just make sure that you define the opposition, the challenge, the stakes at play, and the sacrifices that are being made.